Hey, so this is example 11 in the Pyro tutorials, and in this one we're going to take a look at how to do collisions with objects. Objects like RBDs, deforming geometry, or keyframing animation. So in this one we're going to take a look at how to just collide our fluid with a simple box, but this can obviously be applied to anything more complex or more sophisticated than that. But yeah, so there's a little bit of work done here in subs, and I'm going to go over it. First of all, we have our source for the fluid. Nothing new. Same as the last tutorial, yeah, the same as last tutorial, basically. Sorry. Yeah, so the new thing here is the collision then. So the collision is gonna look like this. It's a box that it kind of like has a sine function to it that goes back and forth. It's gonna collide with our fluid. So we just create a simple box. We add the transform to it. This is just to get some kind of animation. I move it up slightly. I add a sine function to it just to make it move in Z direction, and then I rotate it with a $f times 4, so it does this. Then it's always nice in our collision is to add some velocity, because otherwise we just statically collide with our sphere with a box, but no velocity is transferred to our fluid. And this is a very simple thing to do, so it's very easy to just do it. And this is by just having our animation like this and adding a trail node afterwards, putting to compute velocity, and we can now, if we hit the vectors of the velocity point trails, and we scale that up by going to guides, and we scale the vectors by 10. We can now see that we have some really cool looking velocity going on here. And obviously these vectors are pointing in the reverse direction. So if a vector points this way, the velocity is actually going that way. So now we have an object here that's animated and it has velocity. And it's a polygon object, polygon mesh. So now we can add another null here, and we can add it, we can call it out col. That's usually what I like to call my collision objects. And that's it really for the stop work. We now have set up our collision to work well with our volume. So let's dive into the dubs. In dubs we have our regular setup here, nothing special. We have some stuff acting on it, like turbulence and disturbance. We have our resource container, we have our smoke object, we have our source. So here we are sourcing our fluid. Next up, we're gonna after the Pyro solver here, we're gonna add a merge, and we're gonna merge in a static solver. We're gonna talk way more about this in the RBD in the RBD simulation tutorials, but basically the static solver is it solves a static object. What's important to remember though is that this is not required unless you have more than one RBD object in your simulation. So it would actually work just as fine to just do this and remove that. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're gonna still use the static solver, and we're gonna use a merge. So the static solver is nothing fancy, it's just solving this. So there's no real sliders or any controls on it. And we can add a merge on top of that, add that into the first input, which is object to be processed. Here we can have gas masks and stuff like this, but discard that. In the merge, we're gonna merge in all our RBD objects. For this instance, we only have the static object here. So we're gonna create a static object, right? I'm just gonna go through this. Static object, like this. We're gonna find our subpath to the object that we want to collide with. So let's do that. Remember, we call it out col. It's simple and easy. We find a null here, out collision. We can visualize it, and it's not moving. And why is that? Because it's deforming. It's actually animated. So if you need to check this, use deforming geometry. And there we go. It's now moving. Cool. So what else do we want to do? We might want to turn down some of these. It's not too relevant for this stuff. But yeah, I think that's all. Honestly, that's all we need. We might want to go through here and fine tune some things, but nothing here is too important. Again, I'm going to go over the static object and RBD object way more in RBD tutorials, but this is just how to get collisions, right? So let's add this in, the newly created static object, and let's put our display flag on the output, and let's hit simulate. So as you can see, we can still see the velocity trails here. And bam. It's now colliding, which is really cool. Let me go ahead and switch this off. And as you can see, it also grabs some of the velocity from it. It actually, like, travels with it, which is really cool. And yeah, it gives really accurate and like really nice looking collisions. So that's basically how that's done. And this can be applied to any animated character or anything like that. There is a bit more advanced way to do collisions with VDBs and stuff like this, but for this, we're just gonna go over it with a poly object like this, and it works fantastic. So that's it for the tutorial. Quick and easy, but really, really interesting and cool. How to collide with animated objects. Okay guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.